Good evening, everybody. I'm really looking forward to doing this with you this evening. I'm going to start in a couple of minutes, but it'd be great to find out where you're all from. So we've got the chat room here that I can sort of have a look. So let's see where everybody's from. Okay. Great. Oh, lots of people, lots of people. London, Glasgow, Cheltenham, San Francisco, Margate, Somerset, Essex, Leicester, Malta, Jersey, Scottish Borders. Great, a huge selection, which is fantastic. Chicago, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to start this evening, and one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask 4 questions throughout the throughout the webinar, and I want you to sort of be able to write down some of the answers, so it just gives you a better idea about where you're at and what needs to happen for you. So one of the things I'm always asked is, how can you optimize your chances of success with IVF? And I honestly believe that there's so much you can do. And I think the frustration for many women and couples is you don't feel you've got control. So what I'm going to encourage tonight is to work on what you do have control over when it comes to your journey and when it comes to your IVF cycles. And, you know, we all know there are many factors that are involved in IVF. Age being the biggest, your egg reserves, underlying medical conditions, etc. But the way I work is looking at the medical side and looking at the holistic approach as well. And I've helped thousands of couples on this with this program. And it's really focusing your attention on the key areas, mindset being first, medical side, lifestyle, diet and nutrition and supplements, and your relationships, etc., and especially stress and emotional triggers. So, you know, when you start, many of you listening to this tonight are at different stages of your journey. Some will be just approaching IVF. Others of you will have gone through repeated IVF cycles. Can you make that a bit sort of better so people can see? Sorry about this slight glitch. Oh, they do. Great. Okay. So you can see from this, you know, you start off on trying for a baby, you wait a year, maybe 18 months, you get pregnant, very common to have a miscarriage, then you start IVF, then you might do another cycle, another cycle. So none of you that are watching this evening have entered the IVF space lightly. There's been a lot that you've gone through to get to this stage. And I think what's important as well is that everybody's journey is different. It's very easy to be on Instagram or be on social media or talk to a friend and find out, well, they're doing this and I'm not doing that, making those comparisons. But everybody is an individual. So Sarah next door might be on a completely different path to you. So don't sort of make the mistake of trying to compare yourself to somebody else. And what I'm hoping to do from this webinar tonight is be able to highlight the areas that you need to focus on to make some improvements. Okay, what else have I got here? Fine, okay. But the one common thing is that for so many women, 40% are thought to have anxiety and depression with fertility. And that is no surprise to anybody, because dealing with uncertainty is one of the hardest things that you are going to encounter going through this. Okay, Rebecca, next one. Okay, sorry. Few little glitches here. So, you know, the challenges that all of you face are, you know, dealing with the tick-tock of the biological clock. So many women are concerned that they are getting to 35, all their eggs are going to fall off a cliff, and they have to do IVF sooner rather than later. This is not the case at all. Sorry, I'm having a few. Oh, that's it. This is not the case at all. So many women have lost connection with themselves. And I think fertility challenges does do this to you. You know, you lose connection with friends, you lose connection with families, you lose connection with yourself, very often unable to make decisions and plans. Women instinctively are very intuitive about what they need to do. But when you throw the whole fertility thing into the pot, you lose that connection and that intuition, stuck in negative thought sets and mindsets, and distancing yourself from everybody around you. And, you know, it's very easy to think you haven't got control over things, but you do have control over your thoughts, what you eat, how you manage, and how you prepare for IVF. So I'm sure many of you know who I am. I'm Zita West. I'm a midwife. I've been a midwife for 40 years. I'm an acupuncturist. I founded Zita West Clinic. I have written books, and I've got products as well. But the mind-body link to me plays a really important role in getting pregnant, having a successful IVF, and having a baby. So, you know, really, really key are the mind-body links here. So the areas that I focus on are mindset, and mindset is first. And I think it's very easy to focus on all the physical things you can do, such as exercise, nutrition, all of this. But if your mindset is not in the right space or place, it's really hard to motivate yourself to do anything. So for me, in preparation, this is the number one thing you should be focusing on, because this is where you have control and you can make a real difference. Looking at egg reserves, hormones, diet, and supplement, again, are key areas that I look at. Lifestyle, again, lifestyle is individual. Everybody's lifestyle is different. Stress and emotional triggers, and also the medical tests that you're looking at when you're undergoing IVF. Okay, so question number one, and this is a question I ask to everybody that comes to see me. Is there anything in your life that you feel may be having an impact on your ability to conceive? And let me tell you, you know, some of the answers. For many of the women I see, they don't have to dig too deeply to work out what's going on. For some, it will have been a termination in the past and they feel really guilty about what's happened, and they feel it's their chance gone of getting pregnant or IVF working for them. For others, it might be low self-esteem, it might be abuse on any level, sexual violence, etc. It could be that I've always felt there was a little niggle and it was never ever going to happen for me. And these are all real issues and they need to be worked through. So, you know, if you want to write down if there's anything you feel that's stopping this from happening for you as we go along, it will be helpful for you. So, you know, when I look at mindset and, you know, the labels and the stories and the beliefs that women have and women tell themselves, and it's hardly a surprise because within the medical profession, everybody is given a label that's going through IVF. They're either poor responders, they've got low egg reserves, they have got geriatric eggs. It goes on and on and on. And these labels really do go deep down into the psyche. And it's the same with the beliefs and the stories you tell yourself. You know, these all need to be changed because you have control of the narrative. And a lot of mindset issues come from the past and the present and are due to trauma. So, you know, there are ways of addressing this. I want to show you tonight a new approach to dealing with your challenges, and I'm going to look at visualizations and breathing, etc., because there's so much more we now know about ancient science as an acupuncturist and also neuroscience, that you can change the way you think, you can rewire your brain, and you can repeatedly repeat positive messaging. And I know that you can't be positive all the time, but it's managing on a day-to-day basis. One of the things for me as well, that fertility is very fear-based now. You know, you go on and you look on any of the Instagram or the social media platforms, and it is overwhelming. And there is so much information. And, you know, some of it is, quite frankly, really terrifying to listen to, because you feel you're not doing enough. You feel you could do things better. You're comparing yourself to other women on the same journey. My belief has always been that fertility is a whole body event. So that anything that happens, that anything in your body, all of your systems are interlinked. So regardless of what you've been told about your fertility, you need to know that your ability to conceive or to get pregnant through IVF, it involves many, many, many complex factors, physiologically, emotionally, psychologically, and medically. And your thoughts and emotions have a huge, huge impact. You know, for every strong thought you have, fear, anxiety, worry, etc., there's a cascade of chemicals that are produced, and stress hormones, which are corrosive, and everybody is wired to deal differently with their stress. Some manage it better than others. The diet you're on, the nutrients you take, your gut. So many women I see have got irritable bowel syndrome, they've got diarrhea, constipation. And you do need your gut to be able to perform, to be able to absorb the nutrients you need to get pregnant, and build up any deficiencies. And there's a lot now we know about the gut microbiome, which I'll touch on, and I'll be talking about the vaginal microbiome as well. And, you know, we have got such a powerful biology within us. And for so many women now, they're looking on the outside for the answers. And really, we all have the answers within. You know, our body has great wisdom. And, you know, we need to tap into that wisdom. I'm very often asked as well, what does my heart have to do with fertility? And I'm going to come on to that when it comes to visualization. But your heart is the seat of your emotions. It's where you feel your compassion, and it's where you're connected. And if you're not connected to your heart, you're disconnected from everything around you. And it's understandable. You know, when you've been trying for a baby, you've had failed IVFs, etc. And I ask a woman to describe their heart. Very often it's heartbroken, it's heavy, it's cut off. So, you know, it's building yourself up to get that connection back. Energy is so important. Nothing can happen without energy. And when I ask a woman, how's your energy? Nobody gets back to me and says, it's abundant, I'm full of energy, because they're weighed down by the whole process. So you've got thought energy, physical energy, and it's about building up your reserves, which I'll be discussing as well. One of the main things that I talk to women about when I'm doing visualization is the autonomic nervous system, and how powerful that is, and how you're able to send messages to all your organs, your heart, your brain, your gut, your uterus, via the autonomic nervous system. And it's about getting your body into a parasympathetic mode, which is calm and relaxing. And that takes time, it takes practice, and it takes building structure into your life. Okay. So looking at this chart now, and the reason that this is important is it's helping you to focus on where you are and what's going on. So I want you to look round at, you know, scoring from 0 to 10. How happy are you at the moment? How content are you? Are you grief-stricken? Are you worried? Are you anxious? What's keeping you awake? What do you wake up with at 3 o'clock in the morning? What emotion? What thoughts are you having? And, you know, for so many women, they are fearful, and they're fearful because they want to protect themselves from having hope that it's going to be okay. But all of these emotions are really strong emotions, and they have a huge impact on your biology. So just, you know, fill in that chart or write down on a piece of paper what what your thoughts and emotions are in this present moment in time, and in relation to the challenge you're facing with IVF. So question 2, that is, now I want you to write down, you know, what how is your headspace? How is your head, your brain feeling? You know, what are the stories you're telling yourselves? What are the beliefs that you have? What do you need to make meaning of as regards this journey? So, you know, spend a couple of minutes just answering some of these questions. What are your emotional triggers and your stressors? And again, you know, think about what triggers you emotionally, who triggers you emotionally, what situations trigger you emotionally. Again, you know, write this down. The next thing is looking at what do you need to focus on that chart. You know, what is screaming out at you from what you have filled in? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it worry? Is it anxiety? You know, what do you as an individual need to focus on and to build on in your preparation for your IVF journey? And also, how are you managing those emotional triggers? And this is important as well, because many women overreact to a situation or a comment or whatever. So, you know, are you overreacting at the moment? You know, what are the things that are triggering you? Who is triggering you? And the final question is, how resilient are you? And, you know, this might seem a bit out over there somewhere, but you have to build resilience on this journey. And the reason you need to build resilience in preparation for IVF is that there are many, many hurdles to get through. And you've got to get through them, you know, and what is difficult is that, you know, you get over one hurdle and then another hurdle happens during your journey. It never goes smoothly. It's never a linear line. It's ups and downs, ups and downs. One example is getting to a clinic and the clinic is running late, which is notorious. You should have a scan at 10. Doesn't happen for 2 hours, 12. You're sitting there and you're getting angrier and angrier and not able to cope. You've got to manage that. You've got to sort of become more resilient. So how do you build your resilience? You build your resilience through getting the right support you need from family, from friends. You build your resilience by building a structure into your everyday life so you have meaning. You become kinder and more gentle on yourself. And this all takes time and it all takes practice. You get into a parasympathetic mode through breathing and through visualization and through practice. This doesn't just come really easy. You know, if you decide to get up and exercise, you can do it. But getting yourself into that mindset to truly relax, to truly breathe, to visualize, to give yourself time out, that is really key. And the final thing to building up resilience is not spending so much time on Dr. Google, searching, researching and searching for the answers, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to come away feeling absolutely miserable. So, you know, go into your own little bubble, look within and see what you can achieve in the lead up to doing your IVF. A lot of the work that I've been doing over the last couple of years, especially during lockdown when we had everything shut down, is I wanted to be able to sort of help women, not just sort of saying, how stressed are you? Go off and do yoga, go off and do meditation, do A, B, C, D, and E. These are all useful things, but I wanted them to connect back in. So this is a new way of thinking and a new way of working with the powerful biology that we all have within us. So it's a mixture of acupuncture, about, you know, what I practice, Chinese medicine, but also neuroscience, which is showing us now that there is more than one intelligence in our body other than the brain that has and can make neurons, can rewire neurons, and you can change some of the thought patterns via the autonomic nervous system, the nervous system which I was talking about. Through guided visualizations, you can send messages to your brain, your heart, your uterus, and your gut. This sounds a bit sort of off center, but it really is a way to help you to relax and help you to get into a better mindset. It's also understanding, and you know, in Chinese medicine, this is a given, but for those of you that don't know anything about Chinese medicine, in Western medicine, the heart is a physical pump and it pumps blood around the body. In Chinese medicine, the heart is a seat of your emotion. Every decision you've ever made in your life, through the partner you've made, been with, etc., is from your heart. Your heart leads. Your heart is capable of love and receiving love and giving love. It's about the seat of your emotions, your compassion. It's also like a mini brain. It has neurons. It can produce hormones such as oxytocin, which is the love hormone, the bonding hormone, and it helps heal your heart. The cognitive language when I'm speaking to a woman is, how does your heart feel? And like I said earlier, it's heavy, it's heartbroken, it feels splintered, cut in two. So, really, really, really key. Then you look at the brain, and the brain is about what you make meaning of. It has neurons that rewire and can refire and get rid of those negative thought patterns, and you can replace them with more positive beliefs. And the brain is capable of regenerating. So again, thinking about what you need to do, make meaning of logic. What is your plan? What are the next steps for you? That also produces hormones that send messages down to the ovaries, the uterus. And again, this is really, really in Chinese medicine and in ancient wisdoms, the uterus is about creativity. And one of the things I feel so sad for women is that they lose their creativity because all of their focus is going on to their life being on hold, doing IVF after IVF after IVF, that they're no longer creative on any level. And again, that is what the womb is about. And when through visualization, I will ask a woman, how does she visualize? How do you see your womb? If she's had lots of operations, if she's had lots of failures, it's very much about, oh, it's grey, I can't connect to it, I can't see it in any other light. So, in ancient medicine, the uterus or the womb or the pelvic area is a really important chakra. It's a power of energy. It's a firehouse of everything you do. It's your passions, it's your desires, it's your sexual urges and all of that. And fertility changes that. It changes you. The gut as well. The gut isn't just about food and absorption. The gut in Chinese medicine, and it's been proven now, the gut is like the second brain. There are books on it, there's research on the gut, that the gut is about decision making, making decisions, having courage, letting go of fear, not being stuck. And so in a question I will ask women is, where are you stuck in your lives? What do you need to let go of? Who do you need to let go of in terms of, in terms of being able to manage your gut? Again, the gut produces serotonin, a really important feel-good hormone that when you're depressed and you're not connected, it's hard to produce that serotonin. And for all of these important organs in our bodies, you think of all of the language we use. We talk about what's your gut feeling or my gut instinct. We talk about your heart, wearing your heart on your sleeve. Again, we talk about headspace, being in the right headspace. So all of these are linked, and being able to visualize, and these are some of the visualizations that I've done that are on Hug. They guide you through a sequence, and they help you have a better understanding of the reconnection back to your to you. Okay, so there are many therapies also that help with IVF preparation. I'm very often asked, so why do you only mention acupuncture, hypnotherapy and counselling? The only reason I do that is because that is my background. And so for me, that worked well within the clinic. But there are so many therapies. There are so many amazing therapists that give such good support to many women going through and preparing for IVF. So I always urge you to try different therapies, and it's always about the rapport you have with a practitioner. And as I said, there are many wonderful, wonderful, wonderful practitioners out there. So the first thing I think in the build up to doing IVF is mindset preparation, and building resilience. And, you know, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. Visualization, 20 minutes a day. And again, it's about structure and building that into your life on a daily basis in the morning or the evening, because it's going to help you feel calmer. It's going to help you feel more relaxed. And it's preparation for going through IVF. Stress reductions and getting through the hurdles. You know, if your mindset is good and you feel, you know, you feel that you're on it and you're planned and you're prepared, and preparation on every level is so important to me. And it's quite interesting with many of the women that I work with in the IVF clinic, those women that are not prepared, their mindset is all over the place, they're distracted, they're trying to do 6,000 things at once. They are the women that forget to take their trigger injection. They're not organized, they lose things, they're all over the place. So it's really important to build up that focus, to build up that resilience, to build up your mindset before you go through an IVF cycle. And again, go to lots of different therapies that are going to help you. Evidence or no evidence is about how you feel inside. So acupuncture, there's so much research to show that acupuncture can really help in the lead up to IVF. It helps with the pelvic blood flow. It helps release beta endorphin hormones, which, you know, are really important for stress reduction. It also helps through the stimulation phase, during transfer, and after. Hypnotherapy, amazing for helping with your mindset. I'll answer the questions at the end, help with your mindset, but also counselling. And many IVF clinics offer counselling as a free session when you're going through IVF. Okay, so every clinic does things differently when it comes to preparation. So there are different medical tests that are done. And, you know, as I said, some clinics will do tests that are different to other tests, but there are lots of medical tests and blood tests that you need to undergo. You have a consultation where the consultant will work out your history based on the number of IVF cycles you've had, what is going on for you, take a history down, and then he'll discuss the appropriate treatment that is suitable for you. And it's very easy with IVF, and women will come in and they'll say, I want mild IVF, I want natural IVF, but it has to be, your IVF is appropriate to what is going on with you with your blood test. So it could be natural, it could be mild, it could be light, it could be conventional. And then there will be certain add-on treatments that will be suggested, again, based on your history. And these can be, you know, things like sperm DNA fragmentation. It can be looking at the uterine lining, looking at ERA and ALICE tests that look at the implantation, look at the lining for the microbiome and implantation. It can be genetic tests that are done, but, you know, a consultant will sort of go through all of that with you. But again, it's dependent on your history. Okay. So question number 3. Is there anything I can do to improve the quality of my eggs and sperm? And the answer to that is yes. And it's quite interesting how times are changing, because certainly 10 or 15 years ago when I was doing this, I would have women going for IVF and they would ask their doctors, oh, you know, will nutrition help? Will acupuncture help? And the answer was, but no, it's just a numbers game. You just got to keep going. And now the tide is turning, because many clinics are offering acupuncture and nutrition. So I really do believe that there's so much you can do to improve egg and sperm quality. Now, I know a woman is born with all the eggs she's ever going to possess. They're genetically determined. But the environment in which those eggs are growing are influenced by your diet, are influenced by your stress levels, are influenced by the supplements you're taking. And anecdotally, you know, we see this a lot. I've seen this a lot when I was at the clinic, that there are big changes that can be made. So let me just move on to the next slide. You know, where is the science and where are the studies? And there is so much. There are so many studies now on nutrients and on supplements as well. And, you know, I can't cover everything in this, but there's a lot of information on our site. You know, the other thing I want to say is, I haven't got time to cover everything on nutrition. This is a cracking little book. It hasn't got any photographs in it, sadly. It's got lots of recipes, but it takes you through an IVF cycle and what you need to do. It's available on Amazon. So it will answer a lot of the questions that you've got. So for me, it's about keeping it simple, not making huge changes. It's about tweaks over a period of time. You know, it's very hard when I see somebody that comes in and a nutritionist has told her to make such huge changes. It's unmanageable and it's unsustainable. You know, women are always surrounded by the tyranny of the shoulds. You know, I'm not doing this, I should be doing this. You've got to be able to allow yourself treats. You've got to focus on things like the Mediterranean diet. It's had a lot of research on it to help. I know today many of you watching this might be vegan or vegetarian. You need to look at your protein, the amount of protein, because when you're going through IVF, it's not a natural thing to do. When you're trying naturally, you're producing one egg. When you're going through IVF, you want to get a good crop of eggs, so you need more protein to be able to build up that crop of eggs. You need a good gut to be able to absorb nutrients. And so if you're vegetarian or you're vegan, you're going to need to focus more on your protein intake, because it's hard to get complete proteins apart from quinoa. So, you know, really sort of look at your diet, look at what you can do in the lead up to IVF to build up your stores of nutrients. Because again, when you get pregnant, your baby won't rely on anything you have on one day. It will rely on your nutritional stores. So, you know, looking at eggs and sperm, an egg, I always, you know, when I see those videos of that egg being released during ovulation, it does look majestic. It's like 550 times bigger than the sperm. But the egg needs protection from free radicals. It needs protection from spikes in blood sugar. It needs nutrients. And, you know, it needs to be able to grow and develop. So key parts of the egg, components of the egg, have different nutritional or nutrient requirements. So, you know, when you look at the outside of the egg, the cell membrane, omega-3, the cells need to be flexible. So fats are really important to make the cell membrane flexible. You've got the follicular fluid, and that is nourished by inositol and vitamin D. You've then got the mitochondria of the egg, which is the powerhouse that needs to divide and divide and divide and divide. So coenzyme Q10, ubiquinol, really important for energy. And there's a lot now being done on mitochondria and mitochondrial influence in all health, not just fertility. For the sperm, men are very fortunate. They're producing sperm 24/7. And again, different cell components on the sperm need different nutrients. So the sperm needs energy to be able to move. Coenzyme Q10 is important for that. The most important job a man has is to deliver the DNA into the egg. So the head of the sperm needs protecting from free radicals. So, you know, vitamins A, E, C, NAC, all of those are key. And it needs energy. It needs a lot of energy to swim up through the cervix to the fallopian tubes in order to meet the egg. Down here somewhere. So I never promote supplements over diet. I think that diet is really important, but I do think there is a role for that supplements do play. Zita West products have been around for 21 years. I'm very, very proud of them. I'm involved every day with the research for new products and what goes into them. And what's important for me is the bioavailability of the nutrients so that they're best they can possibly be, the raw ingredients, the fact that they're clinically studied, they're made in the UK. You know, I think they are really good, but I would say that, wouldn't I? But just moving on to different nutrients and what is needed. And so when you think about egg health, I've talked about the egg being the largest cell in the human body, and it does need key nutrients. Like vitamin D is so important. It's on the receptors of eggs, of the ovaries and sperm. And, you know, we test vitamin D for so many men and women, and very low, especially during the winter. And, you know, small studies have shown that good levels of vitamin D in the follicular fluid can influence the IVF outcome. Folate for the nucleus of the egg, the RNA and the DNA, not folic acid. Folate is much more absorbable than folic acid. It's a much more natural source. Looking at omega-3, as I said, for the cell membranes, antioxidants for the follicular fluid, coenzyme Q10, all of these will help with healthy eggs and sperm. So, you know, one of the products we do is the Ultimate Female IVF kit, and that really focuses on what an egg needs. And I've repeated a lot of what I've said already, so I'm not going to, but this will sort of get you through preparation and through IVF. DHA, I've mentioned, it's fish oils, EPA and DHA for cell protection. Also, it's really good for inflammation conditions within the body. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. It produces energy required for cellular function, and it's important that ubiquinol is used in coenzyme Q10 Canica, because it's bioidentical to coenzyme Q10 in our body. So I'm trying to talk too quickly. Okay. One of the important things in preparation for IVF, everybody is different. Everybody has different underlying factors when it comes to trying for a baby. But key nutrients for inflammation are antioxidants, omega-3, fiber, and vitamin A. So if you've got underlying conditions such as thyroid antibodies, autoimmune disorders, endometriosis, PCOS, you're drinking a lot, you're smoking a lot, you're eating a lot of processed foods, you're going to increase the inflammatory response in your body. And inflammation now is linked to many chronic illnesses, not just fertility. So, you know, you do need different nutrients if you've got different underlying conditions. Rebecca at Zita West Products, she does a free 15-minute consultation, not medically based. It's based mainly on the nutrients and the supplements you need. So after this webinar, if you want to get in contact, please do. We'll give you the information, and she will talk you through a more individualized approach for you. Okay, moving on. One of the things that I've been very excited about this year, there is so much talk now about the vaginal microbiome. I know you've heard about the gut microbiome, but the vaginal microbiome is becoming increasingly important for fertility and for IVF. And the tests that are done in clinics are looking at the uterine lining. So they're looking at the microbiome. But increasingly with the vaginal microbiome, lactobacillus is very important for the reproductive tract, but also the research that's been done has been shown it can help improve implantation. So there's lots of research that we can send you on this afterwards to show you how it helps. There are various tests that can be done as well by certain nutritionists for looking at the vaginal intestinal microbiome. Next one. Okay, so this is just some of the studies that have been done looking at the species of lactobacillus and the important role they play in the environment for bacterial infections. So, you know, if you're watching this and you're suffering from bacterial vaginosis, urinary tract infections, thrush, it's well worth taking. But you know, looking at the studies here, you can see what the impact has been on taking lactobacillus and not taking it in terms of studies for fertility, IVF, and infections that you might have. So we have FemCive, and this is what we use. The research has been done on to help with improving the reproductive tract, and very, very important to have if you're going through IVF and taking it in the lead up to IVF. So PCOS, so many women have PCOS, and there is a lot of research out there to show that low carb diet is important, blood sugar balance, insulin resistant is really key. So nutrients such as inositol and folate can be really, really helpful when it comes to PCOS. So, you know, looking on the website and seeing what's available will be useful. I'm just going to come on to the next slide, which is about the inositol and fiber. So we use inositol and fiber for women with PCOS, and it's about helping to balance blood sugar. And I know everybody is different. There's PCOS and there's polycystic ovarian syndrome as well. And again, some women will be overweight, but some will be very lean when it comes to PCOS. So it's about exercise, it's about diet, it's about getting the balance right in terms of managing the blood sugar spikes when it comes to polycystic ovaries. So we have inositol and folate, which you can, you know, look on the website, and the studies that have been done show it can really help with many reproductive outcomes. I like to use it with women who are older because it helps with maturing eggs. So, you know, very, very useful in preparation through IVF or leading up to IVF. Moving on to sperm health. So I've lost my way a bit with my slides. Okay. So a sperm needs exactly what an egg needs, but men are producing sperm 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which is fantastic for them. And they're produced in huge numbers. So again, vitamin D is on the receptor of sperm, it's on the receptor of the ovaries, important for motility, folate for the nucleus. We have MenCive because the sperm also has a microbiome as well. Zinc is important, and also coenzyme Q10 and DHA. We also have the Ultimate Male IVF Support Kit. And again, that is everything that I've just talked about now, which you should be taking 3 months up to doing an IVF cycle. So question 4, how much is in your tank? And the only reason I've put this up is because for so many women, they are so depleted in energy. They are, you know, they are working hard, they're playing hard, they're not sleeping, they're worrying, they're anxious. All of this is going to have an impact on you know what is going on for you. So it's about building up your reserves. Okay, so how you build up your reserves is, you know, looking at what your sleep pattern is like. Are you exercising? What is your energy like? So many women have got so little energy. Getting out in nature, making time for yourself, having headspace, these are all absolutely key. And you know, when you look at lifestyle, it's not just about it's not just about your work, how hard you work. It's about your work-life balance. You know, how much time are you putting into yourself? What projects do you have on? You know, when I ask a woman, what else is she doing apart from IVF? It's like, we're moving house, we're living out of the microwave, we're doing extensions, I'm working overseas. It's you know, it's about an energy drain, and you have to look at about what and who is draining your energy. You know, what projects do I need to focus on? Because, you know, if you're doing too much and you're going through IVF, you have, you know, you've not got the energy, you've not got the time, and you're distracted. So you need to do your IVF when you have got time in your life and your calendar that you're not doing a big project, because where you focus your energy, things do happen. Okay, I'll just go back to that slide a minute, Rebecca. Yeah, just one of the things I wanted to look at here as well, you know, are your energy stores. You have physical energy and you have emotional energy, and it's very, very easy to drain that battery. Okay, next one. So looking as well at, you know, what depletes your body of nutrients. So, you know, if you are drinking lots of alcohol, you're depleting your body of nutrients. If you're smoking, if you're doing drugs, if you're exercising too much, if you're not sleeping, if you're on medication, all of this will have its impact. So you do need to build up your nutrient reserves to help build eggs, to help balance the body, to help with stress, cortisol, adrenaline, etc. So, you know, sort of think about where you're at. So looking at your lifestyle now, and just for a moment, just look at this. And think about, you know, where you're at. Are you just about to start IVF? Are you in the middle of IVF? Are you preparing for IVF? You know, what are your relationships like? Not just your relationships with your partner, but your relationships with your friends and your families. Who have you disconnected from? Or more importantly, who do you need to disconnect from for a short time that isn't serving you, or it's not helping you in your relationship, that's causing you stress, or strife, and you know what that is. You know, looking at your sleep, how much sleep are you getting? And again, sleep is so incredibly important. You know, going to bed early, building up your reserves of sleep. What's waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning? What are you thinking about? What do you need to make a change on or focus on? How much exercise are you doing? I'm a great believer in exercise, but I think when it comes to going through IVF or in the month before IVF, you shouldn't be doing a huge amount of exercise. You should tone it down a bit, and no exercise when you're going through IVF, because for me, when you exercise a lot, you're taking the blood away from the pelvic area. And the whole thing about IVF is that you're trying to build up good follicles, and, you know, it needs your energy. So think about that, and certainly not in when you've done a transfer. Walking and everything like that is fine, but not heavy exercise. Sex, you know, are you still having sex? I mean, it's incredible the amount of women that I see that book on to do IVF and cancel because they're being proactive in their mind. They're thinking, oh, I'm doing IVF, don't have to bother with sex now. But, you know, carry on having sex. It's really, really important. Not just about getting pregnant, but it's sort of bonding, and it's very easy to lose that connection. You know, what is your work-life balance like? You know, when can you get the balance back? What do you need to do to get that balance back? And finally, how many hours are you spending? How many hours are you spending digitally? So many, it's so overwhelming. The reels, the social media, the information that's given out. And again, I talked earlier about resilience. It's very easy to go and watch a reel. You know, it might make you happy, but sometimes you get depressed by the information that's given. And it's so, you know, such a fear-based thing, fertility, when it doesn't have to be like that. Sometimes it's about lightening up a bit and having a bit of fun and not putting your life on hold, you know, just keeping it really, really simple. So, you know, really do cut down if you can from Dr. Google and all the advice that you're getting online, because sometimes it's just not helping. And it's better for your headspace to have time away from your computer, your social media, etc. So, you know, work that into the structure of your day that I talked about earlier. Giving yourself time when you're not connected to the computer, you're not on social media, you're not replying within 2 seconds to an email or a text. Okay. Okay, so, you know, the $1 million question, how long do you need to prepare for IVF? Again, that is down to you. For some women, if you're doing IVF every 3 months, that's 3 in a year, I think that's too much. I think sometimes you just need permission to stop and do something differently the next time round. For me, it's not a numbers game. It's not something you just keep doing and you'll strike lucky. It's about making a change. So if you're listening to this and you've had 3 IVFs and you're going to go again, change something, do something, take something away from this that's resonating with you that you're able to change. I think if you can prepare for IVF for 3 months, brilliant. But very often that's not sustainable. It's hard to do if you make it difficult. So if I'm looking at that list and I think, am I capable of doing at 3 months? What has come up for me within this webinar that I need to focus on, emotion-wise, mindset-wise? And I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on that every single day because practice makes perfect. And the mindset, like I've said, is the number one for me because it's key. Excuse me. Because it's key. It gives you the foundations to help you get through. If you've got serious underlying emotional conditions or things that have happened to you in trauma, seek expert help. Because that is also important in terms of your mindset. So 3 months for that. Egg and sperm, 3 months with supplements, diet and nutrition, but building in treats, building up those reserves that are going to make a difference to you. You know, what came up for you in any of those wheels I've had on tonight that you can start to look at. Getting through those hurdles. Anybody that starts IVF, it's never plain sailing. There's always something that will come up, and it's getting to the end to transfer that is important. So, you know, focusing on what you can do at those hurdles, deciding ahead of time, really preparing 4 to 6 weeks beforehand. That makes it easier for you. This is a cracking little book as well. I say that about all my books, but this has got a good preparation plan in 5 days, and you can download it. You can't download the book for free, but you can download the detox plan for free. It's 5 days, and if you link into our bio on our Instagram, you'll have that. So that is just something that will give you some help. Okay, so now I am reaching the end. We do a lot on Instagram, lots of free webinars, newsletters, so please stay updated. I've got my visualizations and hug that will help you. I also have got set up a small consultancy, so I'm seeing people in person, one-to-one, DM, if you want to find out any information on that. And also we've got lovely Rebecca here, who is our nutritionist, and she will offer any of you that want a free 15-minute consultation, not on the medical side, but on the nutrients, etc. So, you know, what I want to get across to you tonight, I want you to have hope. Fear is so much easier to do than hope, but if you don't have hope, you don't really have anything. So it's important to have hope. I want you to connect back to I want you to be able to connect back to yourself. I want you to sort of think about the next IVF you do and what you need to change. And I hope this has helped you and focused you on what you need to do, and you take things away from this webinar that are going to help you. So now I'm going to start answering some of your questions. Oh, right. Okay. Okay. So we've taken all the supplement you have suggested for egg quality, age 43. Day 3, everything was great. Day 5, blastocysts stopped growing. What else can I take? That's really, really difficult, Jenny, because at 43, it's much, much harder with IVF to work. So I think you need to have a chat back with your clinic and see what they suggest to you. What supplements food are good for low morphology 1%? When you come across a low morphology like that, it needs to be investigated further or the sperm test repeated. I think it's worth trying supplements, especially Mensive, which I talked about, the microbiome, the vitamin boost 2, I think can be really helpful, or the IVF male pack. Try and look at that. If you're taking folate, do you need not to take folic acid? Yes, that's right, Lauren. If you're taking folate, don't take folic acid. You'll be taking too much. Also, it's worth remembering in the VitaFem and the VitaFem boost, there isn't folic acid, and some women make the mistake of taking the VitaFem boost, not realizing it hasn't got folic acid in it. What are your views? Oh, what are your? They're all jumping. How do I stop it? What are your views on progesterone for implantation? 4th round in Feb. First ectopic, 2nd and 3rd, no implantation. 3rd, additional progesterone, but not 4th and 5th due to NHS restrictions. I think there is a place for progesterone, and certainly different clinics use progesterone as an indicator in terms of if it's very, very high, about taking replacing the eggs or doing a transfer. They wait for it to come down before they do a transfer. But I understand on the NHS there are restrictions. After multiple miscarriages, what can I do? It's really tough when this happens. It depends on the blood tests that you've had done, and different clinics do different blood tests. So I would urge you to sort of go and see a miscarriage specialist that deals in multiple miscarriages to help, to help you. Can you please touch on the key vitamins diets on those dealing with endometriosis? Yeah, like endometriosis, it depends on the severity, it depends on where it is in the body, but it is an inflammatory condition. And so it does need, I would see a specialist nutritionist with fertility or get in contact with Rebecca. So it's an anti-inflammatory diet to help dampen down inflammation. So looking at omega-3, looking at FemSieve, looking at vitamin D, looking at antioxidants as well are all really important. What supplements are good for vaginal microbiome? BV sufferer, sorry, I missed this. FemSieve, it has the research and the studies to show that it can help with the vaginal microbiome and the lactobacillus, making the environment more friendly. So that's definitely well worth taking. Would you suggest taking aspirin for unicornate uterus? My clinic has not mentioned it, but on reading up on it, I think it could be worth taking to help with blood flow. Becky, I don't think you should take anything like aspirin without medical supervision. So if you've read about it, go back to your doctors and check, because there can be side effects for any drug, even common drugs like aspirin. Is there anything different you would recommend for somebody with POI? POI is premature ovarian insufficiency. This is really, really difficult because it depends on the severity of it. It depends on your age. So it's seeking proper help. I would certainly look at supplements, but I don't want you to take supplements thinking that it's going to improve this, because generally it's a genetic condition. So it is seeking professional help, and I don't know what help you've had so far. I'm currently going through the 2-week wait, and suddenly I've become extremely anxious, really struggling to stay positive and calm during this time. I know it's really difficult because your mind and your body play tricks on you. I would try one of my visualizations. There's something I've done for the 2-week wait, and it's something that resonates with the heart and the uterus. So, listen to that and just see if it helps with the anxiety, or do something like I've also done an IVF one. So listen to that as well. Should fibroids be removed before IVF? It depends on the size of the fibroids. It depends where they are. It depends on how big they are. Again, it's taking advice from your doctors. What are your thoughts about DHEA? Many women are on DHEA. I don't have any issues with DHEA, but I do think if you're taking DHEA, you need to have a blood test done to check for free testosterone, because with DHEA, if you're taking it and you're younger, it can convert in the body to either estrogen or testosterone. So if your testosterone is high, it's going to be damaging to your eggs. But I honestly think that if you're in your 40s and you're trying for a baby, you need all the help you get. So I would have no problems with taking DHEA. Sometimes there are side effects with acne or hair loss. Which supplement should I keep taking after egg collection? That's a good one, because, again, supplements that are required for egg collection are also needed at transfer. So, you are still looking at FemSieve for the reproductive tract and implantation. You are still looking at coenzyme Q10 because, you want the eggs to divide and you want the energy to be there, looking at antioxidants as well. So I think it's carrying on the supplements, but if you've got any queries, get in contact with Rebecca, who will be able to guide you more. Failed implantation after 10 days, how to better prepare for second implantation and best supplements to get through the first trimester. It's always difficult when this happens. Everybody is an individual, and like from this webinar I've done, I hope that something has come up that you can look at that are going to help you. And if you haven't been taking supplements before, certainly looking at the FemSieve, looking at coenzyme Q10, or maybe looking at that IVF kit. I have a low egg count, planning to start IVF in May. Overwhelmed with information, supplements to take. All I've been told is to take folic acid and coenzyme Q10. It's very difficult when you've got a low egg count, but the important thing is that you want to do everything you possibly can to improve your chances. I don't know, Caroline, how old you are, but certainly don't take folic acid. Folate is more important, and there's more to just than taking coenzyme Q10. So, look at inositol and folate, look at FemSieve, look at coenzyme Q10, look at the kit and see what you can do to help yourself. Please, can you confirm what your level of progesterone should be on the day of transfer? I can't confirm that because different clinics have different thresholds. So I think that you need to research it or ask the clinic that you are at. What to do if progesterone keeps going higher after stimulation? Again, it depends on how high it goes, and it depends on the clinic. For some clinics, they after stimulation. For some clinics, what they won't do is put they'll fertilize the eggs, but they won't put them back depending on what the progesterone level is. Do you recommend melatonin for egg quality over 40? Yeah, I mean, many clinics use melatonin. Melatonin is a powerful antioxidant as well. So again, under supervision, I think it's a good thing to take. Of course, DHEA and melatonin you can't buy in over the counter here, so it's getting it from other sources. Should ureaplasm be tested for if found? Yes, definitely ureaplasma should be tested for in men and women if there's a history of it. Wishing you well. Okay. My husband has a known chromosome issue, Robinsonian balanced translocation. Our clinic were against PGT testing as we have low embryo numbers. Would love you to review on this. I think it's a very specialist. Subject, and again, there are different probes that are made for different genetic issues, and there are certain clinics that specialize in that. You may want to get a second opinion on it, but it's not something I can really comment on. Sorry for you to repeat yourself. I'm taking the female fertility bundle, but have added CoQ10 and folic acid. Should I stop keeping on with the extras? I think if you are taking the folate in what we're doing, you don't need the folic acid, but the CoQ10 is good to take. I'm going to have my third cycle of IVF and have recently started acupuncture. How long would you recommend I have acupuncture before starting the next round? Well, many acupuncturists like to start from about 3 months before your cycle. And this is helpful because it builds up the blood flow, etc. So I, would ask your therapist what they think, but it's best if you can, at 3 months. If you can't, then 4 to 6 weeks ahead or during the cycle would help. Can you recommend any central London-based acupuncture clinics? My research recently, the ones recommended were mostly outside of London. Also, are there any clinics that are good with clients that are needle nervous? Any central based, there are so many acupuncture clinics in London. There are acupuncturists at Zita West Clinic. There are so many, just go on to Instagram and look. There are many clinics, so it's difficult to recommend. What is the best help to eggs when you're 43? It's really difficult when you're 43, but you've got to feel that you're doing everything you can. So the IVF package that we suggested will help on that. I love your hug meditations and visualizations. It's been really helpful. Oh, thank you, Ashley. That's really nice to hear. Can you touch on the value of doing the cytokine killer tests if you've had multiple miscarriage? My clinic and NHS doctor are both against the test and the treatment options available. It's very, very difficult, this, because there's a lot of mixed thoughts about cytokines and natural killers, etc. I think, and it's very difficult because the NHS is restricted. I think you need to go and talk to somebody that specialises in this. There are clinics in London that do, and without knowing your history, it's really hard for me to make a comment. Will Femceive help with HPV? Now, I don't know the answer to this, Neve, but I will find out and I will get our nutritionist to get back to you. Do you offer any immunology testing at your clinic if not undertaking IVF there? I'm not at my clinic anymore, but I do know that they do immunology testing. So if you wanted to get in contact with Dr. Simone, he'll be able to help you, but they don't do immunological testing if you're not doing IVF at the clinic. The reason being that all of these tests are done by an IVF doctor, and the results need to be interpreted by that doctor. And very often what happens if you're going elsewhere, you go with these tests, the doctors don't know how to treat, or sometimes they don't believe in it. So it's difficult. You generally, as a rule, if you're doing immunological tests at any clinic, you generally have to have IVF and the treatment at that clinic. What would you recommend for hypothyroidism? Currently on medication and blood show levels that are normal, have been told to continue with the meds. Yeah, you need to continue with thyroxine. It's important that when you have blood tests done that they check for thyroid antibodies as well, because that can have an impact on your fertility. Okay. I'm taking omega-3 and conception vitamins at the moment, not Zita West ones. Would it be okay to add Zita West probiotics to this? No, yeah, it'd be absolutely fine to add the VitaFem to that, no problem at all. We're considering an egg donor cycle if the next round doesn't work. I don't know what the question is there. Okay, I'm going to a clinic 2.5 hours drive away. I'm having acupuncture close to home. My acupuncturist has suggested treatment 4 hours prior to collection and 4 hours after, but this won't be possible as I have to stay up the night before the clinic. Is this going to be detrimental to the success of my treatment? It was suggested by my acupuncturist, who I totally trust, and I've used acupuncture points as well. Yeah, I absolutely understand why she's saying this. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. Maybe you can ask the clinic that you're going to, if there's an acupuncturist closer, that you'll be able to get the before and after treatment from. We generally do it on the day of acupuncture, the day of transfer. So see what you can sort out, and have a chat with your acupuncturist as well, because there's a lot of networks around that she might be part of, and she might be able to help you get somebody else. I'm recovering from the flu and due to start IVF in 3 weeks. Shall I postpone it? I think, Monica, it depends on how bad the flu is, how you're feeling. If you are absolutely incapacitated, you're tired, you've got no energy, I would postpone your IVF in 3 weeks' time. I think you need to do it when you are feeling better. However, if you're over the flu and you're regaining your energy, then it's fine to do. But, you know, so much goes into IVF, and you need to be prepared mentally and physically. And if that's not happening, I think you need to postpone it, not for long, but just until you're feeling better. What can I do about my AMH level? Will it make IVF impossible? No, it won't make IVF impossible. It depends on what the level is, and it depends on how old you are. I've seen many women with low AMHs go on to get pregnant. It's all dependent on age. The reason that a low AMH level is detrimental to IVF, if it's very low, it gives the doctors an indication as to how you're likely to respond to IVF treatment. And if it's very, very low, the chances are you're not going to get through a whole cycle. It will have to be cancelled. So you've got to do everything you can to try and increase your levels. So looking at acupuncture, looking at supplementation, looking at everything you can do. So no, it's not impossible, but without knowing the number and your history, it's hard for me to give you an individual answer. I've been told I have high natural killer cells. Is there anything I can do to help with this? I've been advised intralipid infusions, but wonder if there are any supplements. Natural killer cells are a specialist side of IVF that some clinics do, and intralipid infusions are the treatment. So, you know, if you have been told to do this by your doctors, I would be guided by them and I would do it. Again, natural killer cells cause inflammation in the body. So an anti-inflammatory diet, anything that's going to dampen down inflammation, omega-3, femcev, antioxidants, definitely worth looking at. What's next? Do you recommend a 3-day transfer or a 5-day transfer for a woman over 42? Again, this is dependent on your IVF clinic. It's dependent on the amount of embryos you have. It's dependent on how those embryos are developing. And so, you know, you would be advised if by your doctors that they might not get to day 5, so they would suggest day 3. So be guided by your specialists. Is acupuncture more effective than reflexology? Both are effective. It depends on what you prefer. It's pointless having acupuncture if you're needle phobic and you prefer more reflexology. I think it's also dependent on the practitioner and the rapport you have. But certainly, I think both are effective when it comes to fertility. I have 4 failed attempts of IVF, the first being with an egg donor, as I'm 42 and my eggs are of poor low AMH. Is there anything different advice to take when using donor eggs? This is a really difficult one, and it's upsetting, especially because the success rate with egg donation is obviously higher than with your own eggs. I think you need to sort of seek help from the clinic that you have been to and ask their advice. I've had 3 failed implantations. I have very low lactobacillus in my vaginal microbiome. I've tried many oral probiotics, including femcev, but this has only improved slightly. Is there anything else that I can try? It's an interesting question, because a failed implantation isn't just about the vaginal microbiome. There's many factors that are involved in implantation. So it's a difficult one to answer. I will find out, however, if doubling the dose of femcev might make a difference, and I'll get Rebecca to get back to you get back to you on that. Could an overactive immune system cause implantation failure? Yes, it can. I mean, that's why the whole natural killer cell is a huge debate, because some women have overactive immune system that cause implantation. So it's good to sort of seek a clinic that deals with immune specific treatments. What do you advise for women undergoing PGT, IVF, no fertility issues, but autosomal recessive genetic condition which has caused neonatal loss? So I'm sad to hear this, Mary. It's very, very difficult. I think it's I think it's good to do, but again, you need the advice of a specialist on this. So you need to be guided by them. It's not something that I can really comment on. How long before IVF should you suggest starting acupuncture? Many acupuncturists recommend 3 months before, but if it's too much, then 4 to 6 weeks before you start and during the cycle will help, because it's about balancing, it's about stress hormones and getting good blood flow to the uterus. How can I reduce OHSS? It's very hard to reduce OHSS, which is ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. Because it's picked up when it's happened, and it can be very, very serious. You know, very often you don't have your embryos put back on a cycle. You have to wait, and some women are hospitalized. I think doctors are much better now at picking up women that are likely to get OHSS by looking at their AMH, and if it's high, it's a minimal amount of drugs that are used. So I'm guessing that you've had OHSS in the past and you're starting again. So important to talk to your doctors about the protocol and the treatments that you'll be on. Failed implantation, bled at day 7 last September. Just started second round of my clinic, have increased my progesterone this time. I'm 37. Is coenzyme Q10 the best to take? I think that you need more than coenzyme Q10. I think I would take the FemC as well, the vitamin D, and then the omega-3 as well. And I hope it goes well for you. Need to go. Want to thank you all. Really informative session. Good luck, everyone who's trying. It's not easy, Jen, but we'll get there. That's lovely to hear. I have a number of frozen embryos. Would your advice waiting a certain amount of time before transfers? I think it depends. I think it depends on what your clinic says. It depends on how many frozen embryo transfers you've got, as to when you put them back. I have PCOS and do not ovulate. Would you recommend acupuncture along with an inositol and folate? Yes, I would. I mean, inositol is very good at regulating a cycle. I think acupuncture is really good as well. But I think it's important that you have a plan and you work within a timeline, because if you're not ovulating, you do need medical help. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do IVF. It could be a stimulated cycle, monitor stimulated cycle, but don't leave it too long. You know, have in your mind that you will try acupuncture depending on your age for 3 or 4 months. If nothing's happening and you're not ovulating and you've taken the inositol and the folate, then I think you need to sort of seek medical help. I've been told, what's that? Alex Reed's wife has this. Check her Instagram out. Okay. Can you recommend? Can you do? Oh, I'm replying. Can you? Can't see that. How regular should you have acupuncture? Generally, it's weekly, and then it's spaced out to 2 weeks and then 4 weeks. But obviously, if you're preparing for IVF or going through IVF, it's more regular. I'm 43, had 6 failed cycles, 1 pregnancy after an intralipid fusion. Have discovered I have raised killer cells. Miscarriage. I've been told to try IVIG next. What are your thoughts? It's a really difficult one for me to comment on, because I don't have your full medical history. So I think you're going to have to sort of ask the opinion of your doctors on that one. My husband has high anti-sperm antibodies. Any recommendation to reduce this? Is a difficult one because sometimes supplements and diet can help, but sometimes it can't, and it means sort of having ICSI rather than IVF. Definitely think about the FemSieve, definitely thinking about an anti-inflammatory diet and some of the other supplements that we've suggested tonight. But what's difficult about this, some men will take every supplement and see huge changes, others it won't make any difference at all. And with high anti-sperm antibodies, it depends on on the sperm of where they are also. I'm awaiting double surgery in March for a large chocolate cyst removal followed by IVF. When should I start taking supplements and what is the best first round? I would get your operation out of the way. And then I would start taking the supplements. So especially things like FemSieve. If it's your first round, maybe you don't need to take all of the supplements that we've recommended, but definitely the FemSieve, the omega-3, the vitamin D, and a good multivitamin and mineral. I'm starting my first round of IVF this cycle. I'm 35 with a low AMH. Can you recommend how much ubiquinol to take? Recommendation is 300 to 600. Should I be going for the higher dose? Thanks. If your AMH is low and you're 35, you're still young, I would look at the higher dose for that. But if you wanted to talk to Becky, our nutritionist, and have a free 15-minute consultation, she'd probably be able to guide you because she'd have more time with you. Do you recommend acupuncture immediately after implantation and during the 2-week wait for a positive pregnancy test? Certainly acupuncture before and after transfer, but it's good if you can have it in the lead up. During the 2-week wait, it depends on how you're feeling, whether you're anxious about needles or having acupuncture, or you want to travel to have it. So that has to be a discussion between you and your acupuncturist. I have PCOS, do not ovulate. Would you recommend acupuncture along with inositol and folate? Yes, I would. But like I said to the last person, it's important that you stick within a plan of action. We have 2 failed IVF, 2 failed IUIs, all tests done, nothing shown up, 35 old. Is IVF our next step? I think it is. If you've had 2 failed IUIs, you've got to go with what's going to give you a better chance of success. And IVF would be more successful than IUI. I'm 43 years old with an AMH of 20, which is really good for your age. Does this suggest PCOS? Clinic says no, but my sister had it. Not necessarily. It means that you've got a good egg reserve. So if somebody else is 43 and their AMH is 1, they stand much of a less chance. Whereas at 43, with your AMH like that, depending on what your other hormones are, you may be eligible for IVF and you might have a better chance of success. My husband had cancer 17 years ago. We had frozen stores, but also the option to use fresh. What would you recommend? Well, I would try the fresh if everything is okay, because you've also got those frozen stores waiting. So talk to your clinic and see what they say. I have essential thrombocytopenia and high platelets. I had 1 miscarriage taking aspirin and I can't aspirin and ICSI decided by the specialist. What can I do to help the blood flow possible to get pregnant? I think it's important that you take direction from your doctor, but also you do look at acupuncture. That does help with blood flow, so it's well worth looking at. I'm 38 years old, started IVF. I feel I'm too old and have no chance when I Google as well. This makes me feel really sad and nervous. The worst thing you can do is Google. Don't Google. Many women go on to get pregnant at IVF. You're not too old. It all depends. Your success depends on your egg reserves, etc. Don't feel sad and don't feel nervous. Work on your mindset, because again, if you're going into IVF, I'm too old, I'm sad, it's not going to work, you might as well stay at home. You've got to get your mindset sorted. Listen to some of the visualizations that I've done. Can we get insurance from any company for IVF? This is a question I don't know. Some companies do give insurance, others don't. Hi, I'm 30, my ovarian reserve is low and I've got endometriosis. At 30 with a low egg reserve, you still stand a really good chance. The endometriosis depends how bad it is, how severe it is, where it is in the body. So certainly, you know, do take the supplements and don't wait too long before getting any help. Hang on, I'm missing some here. Oh, right, here, yeah. Is there anything aside from HRT to lower my FSH? My SSH is very high, AMH is low, and I have POI and 33 years old. Oh, it's really sad, Claire, when this happens. It's really difficult because, you know, a high FSH is harder to get pregnant, because what it's doing is the reason it's high is it's trying to sort of stimulate your follicles. I don't know what your AMH is, but I do think you need to seek help from a fertility clinic and see what they say. Does cycling impact on sperm motility? I think marathons impact on sperm motility, and I think it depends on how often you are cycling, but there are some correlations about sperm and heat. Is it possible to get pregnant through IVF at the age of 44 with low egg reserves? Really difficult. I honestly think at 44, if your egg reserves are low, it is harder to get pregnant. The reason being, when your egg reserves are low and you're put on stimulation for IVF, the chances are that you won't produce the eggs required to fertilize and make embryos. So, you know, it's like, and I'm not trying to be hard here. I want you to do everything you can to make a success, but you've got to think about the energy, the time, and the money that you're putting into something with such a low outlook. You'd be much better to think about egg donation, where your success rates would be much, much higher. I have had 3 miscarriages. 3 miscarriage. Reason was the baby was not growing. We want to try IVF. Please tell me a solution about my case. This is really difficult because it depends on the reasons that the baby aren't growing. I think you need to get some extra help here to help you. Is it possible to get pregnant at the age of 40 through IVF? Yes, many women get pregnant at the age of 40 through IVF. Again, like I said earlier, it's dependent on your egg reserves as to what the success rate is likely to be. I am 49, wanting to try. Reason for delay, my husband has been in and out of hospital due to Crohn's disease, plus my husband has low sperm count. We really would like to be blessed and taking all your supplements. We did the ICSI plan and it was a success, and we would like to try again. Due to my husband in remission, we do not want to use donor eggs or sperm. I have to say, Moni, at 49, it is so hard to get pregnant. It's so hard to get pregnant because of the quality of your eggs and your egg reserves. And I hate to be doom and gloom, and I'm not doom and gloom. I am the eternal optimist, but I would hate seeing you going off trying different IVF treatments that aren't going to succeed for you when I know you don't want to use donor eggs, but that would be a better way forward for you. So I'm sorry to sort of deliver that, but it might be worth getting another opinion. Low egg reserve, age 30, endometriosis. Oh, I think we've done some of these, haven't we? 99 new messages. I think I'm coming to the end of this now, but I am going to come back on again, aren't I, to answer some questions. So if I come on next week and try and answer the remaining 99 new messages. But I hope that tonight has helped. I hope it's given you some hope. And I hope you make use of some of the suggestions that we have said. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope that was helpful for you. And I wish you well in everything that you are doing. And good luck to all of you. And thank you for all your lovely comments here. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.